Good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Witherspoon, Deputy Project Director for Public Outreach for the Purple Line. On behalf of Governor Larry Hogan, Transportation Secretary Gregory Slater, and Maryland Transit Administration Administrator Kevin Quinn, welcome to the 7th Community Advisory Committee meeting for the Bethesda community. Due to COVID restrictions, we are trying a new format this time out. Please bear with us as this is our first series of live public meetings, and please mute your mics and phones. Next slide, please. Tonight, we'll cover the segment of the Purple Line that includes the following stations: Bethesda and Connecticut Avenue. Some very important stops. Next slide, please. You'll receive a project update from Matt Pollock and Vern Hartsock, the new leaders of the MDOT Office of Transit Development and Delivery, which oversees the project. For those who didn't know, they replaced Chuck Latuka and Jeff Enzer, and I have been trying in vain to fill the formidable shoes of Mike Madden, who refused to leave me any of his purple ties and shirts. So I had to go borrow the sweater. Matt and Vern will introduce themselves and fill you in on what is happening with the project. After their introductions, we'll update you on construction and tell you how the MDOT plans to manage that construction. We'll give you reminders about things to look out for during construction. We'll provide an update on the Art in Transit component of the project, and we'll tell you where to submit questions beyond those that will be addressed tonight. This evening's presentation is being recorded, so you'll be able to find it later on our website, purplelinemd.com. That's purplelinemd.com. It'll be there along with questions and responses to those questions we could either not answer tonight or could not get to tonight. We ask that you hold your questions until after the presentation. Then we will open the meeting to questions, first from CAT members and elected officials. We'll invite you to raise your hand. This app does not have a wave your hand option, so you have to actually turn on your camera and physically wave so you can be seen. Then you'll be acknowledged, and you should unmute yourself either by clicking on your microphone or by pressing Control-Shift-M as in mute. Non-CAT members who are viewing the meeting and have questions can ask them using the Q&A function on your screen, time permitting. Just tap on the question mark and we will address your questions if we have time. If your question is not addressed tonight, all questions will be addressed later in a question and response posting on the project website. Similar questions will be combined, so you may not see your question posted verbatim. Thank you for joining us. Here's Matt Pollock.
Thank you, Gary. Good evening. I'm Matt Pollock, Executive Director for Transit Development and Delivery for MDOT, and I am responsible for the Purple Line project. We're at that slide already. Excellent. Most of my career has been dedicated to public transit. I've been involved in light rail projects since the early 1990s. My experience includes light rail startup and expansion projects in St. Louis, Pittsburgh, London, and Charlotte, to name a few. However, without a doubt, being able to join the Purple Line project here in my home state is a real source of pride. Going back a few years, I grew up in Montgomery County, and now I live in Prince George's County. I'm honored to be on the job, and I'm here to take it to completion. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Vern Hartsock, our acting project director.
Thank you, Matt, and good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Vern Hartsock, the acting project director. A little about me. Well, I've served with the MTA for over 28 years. For the last 9 months, I've been working on the Purple Line. Prior to that, I was MTA's chief engineer. And before joining the MTA, I served in the private industry for 10 years in a variety of technical positions, including teaching college. I'm a software engineer by training, and I've successfully delivered many transit construction projects for light rail, metro, subway, and bus. I'm a Baltimore native, and I'm extremely excited to be part of the team delivering the Purple Line project. I'll now pass back to Matt for a project update. Thank you.
Thank you, Vern. Well, while a lot has been going on with the Purple Line over the last couple months, our biggest news happened quite recently, and that's what I'm going to cover now. 2 weeks ago, the state of Maryland and our partners, Meridium, Star America, and Fluor, announced that we have reached a $250 million agreement that settles all outstanding financial claims and terminates the current litigation between the parties regarding the Purple Line project. Next slide, please. Recognizing that the settlement agreement is being finalized and subject to the approval of the Maryland Board of Public Works, the initial details are as follows. Purple Line Transit Partners, PLTP, will remain as the P3 concessionaire. PLTP will proceed with just Meridium and Star America as Fluor is leaving the project. PLTP's initial activities will concentrate on soliciting for a new design-build contractor. MDOT and MTA will continue to manage construction until a new design-build contractor is on board. Vern will give an update on the MTA managed construction shortly. After the new design-build contractor is on board, PLTP will be responsible for completion of the Purple Line construction and for the operations and maintenance of the new line. And along the way, MDOT, MTA, and PLTP will want to facilitate success through ongoing dialogue with all of you, the community, residents, businesses impacted by the Purple Line. We're trying very hard to minimize confusion, and we hope that you will continue to see this as a collaborative effort. Next slide, please. With that, I will pass to Vern to discuss MDOT MTA's management of construction.
Thank you, Matt. Beginning in October through this month now, December 2020, MDOT MTA and the contractors that we've taken assignment of have been working together to complete some very important aspects of the project. This includes the manufacturing of light rail vehicles, such as depicted behind me here, that's taking place in Elmira, New York, and in Spain. In fact, 2 of the 26 vehicles are nearly finished and in their final testing, as well as key project components such as the traction power substations, electrical components, and special track work. In addition to this, we've been working to complete the final construction designs for stormwater management and intelligent transportation systems across the alignment. Next slide, please. Starting with a select few locations, MDOT MTA is directing the resumption of on-site construction along the alignment. Now, as contractors come online, the volume of the work will increase. As of today, we have well over a dozen contractors remobilized and engaged in work, and a list of some of them are here now, including Pessoa Construction Company, who are performing water and sewer utility relocations and concrete work, Henkels and McCoy, who is performing gas and overhead power relocations, MC Dean, who is performing systems and electrical work, Empire Landscaping, who's performing erosion and sediment control maintenance. They're also maintaining the grounds around the new M that we've constructed at the University of Maryland. Traffic Engineering Services is performing maintenance of traffic support. Aves Construction is doing water main relocations. Interlock Steelworkers is performing steel installation for concrete support at the Northwest Branch Bridge. JB Fay is performing Northwest Branch Bridge deck work, and Priority Construction are constructing walls. Next slide, please. Now, to give an overview of our near-term managed construction objectives, which take place from now through the next 3 to 6 months, this includes completing the Connecticut Avenue Light Rail Bridge substructure concrete and the Connecticut Avenue CCT Bridge substructure concrete, and begin construction of the parapets on the developer CCT Bridge. Parapets are like a wall at the edge of the bridge. And completing the construction of the Sleaford Road underpass walls, and completing noise walls, along the Jones Branch, Greater Georgetown Branch Trail, and the Jones Pass underpass backfill and utility work. Next slide, please. For our longer-term managed construction objectives, this includes completing the Rock Creek embankments and stream improvements, to begin the construction of the Lynn Drive underpass, and continuing the bridge construction at Connecticut Avenue and Rock Creek. Right now, I'll pass to Gary Witherspoon for a list of construction reminders and an update on art and transit. Thank you.
Thank you, Vern. You should know that traffic patterns will change as work occurs as needed. Work may occur on both sides of the road and across roadways. When a lane closure is required, a notice will be sent. It'll be distributed via text and email, but you have to sign up through purplelinemd.com. Again, that's purplelinemd.com. You may see orange cones and barrels on roadways. They'll serve as temporary barricades. And you'll see flag persons, when required, directing traffic. We ask you to be especially careful around our construction sites. Pedestrian safety is paramount, as is the safety of our workers. We want everyone to make it home safely every day. Safety, after all, is our #1 priority. Finally, underground utility work may require temporary road plates, so please be careful when driving over those. Next slide, please. Again, you can sign up for construction notices at purplelinemd.com. For project questions and comments, contact M.MTA Public Outreach. That's us at outreach@purplelinemd.com. Outreach@purplelinemd.com. Or you can call us at 443-451-3706 for English, or 443-451-3705 for Spanish. We now have hotlines that are manned 24 hours a day. So if you call those numbers, someone will answer, and you'll get a response to your issue as soon as possible. Next slide, please. The Art in Transit program. The program is intact. We are meeting with and talking to artists on a regular basis. They have been made fully aware of the project status. Almost all of their contracts have been executed, and they are now being fully managed by the M.MTA. Half of the fully executed contracts are in Montgomery County, and you can see the artists' renderings on the website, purplelinemd.com. We expect installations of art to occur as designed in the latter stages of construction. Next slide, please. This concludes our CAT presentation. Before we open the meeting to live questions, Matt and Vern will address those that came in before the meeting. Matt.
Thank you, Gary. All right, I'm going to answer the first, I think it's 4 of them, and then pass to Vern to answer a couple questions as well. First question, do you expect any portions of the project design to change now under the settlement agreement? The Purple Line does not expect any designs to change. Is it possible to accelerate completion of certain infrastructure in and around the project that is disruptive to the community? The state's evaluating construction across the alignment, including areas of local community priority. MTA is actively working with design, construction, and manufacturing contractors to keep the project moving forward. Our focus is on completing design, permitting, and any unfinished work, first with paving, stormwater drainage, and other utility projects now underway along the Purple Line corridor. We remain committed to working with the community and local businesses to collaborate and find opportunities to minimize any impacts to the best of our ability. if the state is able to reasonably advance work beyond utilities using the available pool of contractors, the state will do so. Next question. What is the prospect for seeking additional federal assistance with the upcoming change in executive leadership at the federal level? The federal participation in the Purple Line project includes the $900 million full funding grant agreement and access to TIFIA loans. TIFIA is Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act. The state is not anticipating any additional federal assistance for the Purple Line. Next slide, please. What new general timelines can we expect for completion of various aspects of the project? The state will manage Purple Line construction until the new design build contractor is on board. We do not have a new timeline at this time. I'll pass to Vern now.
Thank you, Matt. The next question is that in 2017, the Montgomery County Council approved the purchase of 0.4 acres next to Bethesda Row for a future Capitol Crescent Civic Green. At that time, it was reported that the county expects to receive easement money from the state for use of the land during Purple Line construction. Can you please provide an update? Well, yes. MDOT-MTA and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, which is MNC-PPC, remain in active discussions regarding the easement near the future Capitol Crescent Civic Green. The county is working to finalize their design. Once complete, the property transaction will move through the approval process with the state and MNC-PPC. Next slide, please. Given that the Sleaford Road Tunnel was already constructed prior to the construction disruption, would the state consider temporarily or permanently completing the path between East-West Highway and Sleaford Road? Additionally, would the state consider constructing a temporary pedestrian bridge over the alignment at Pearl Street? I'll answer the question about Sleaford first. MDOT-MTA is undertaking a review of the open construction projects across the entire alignment of the Purple Line and reviewing the remaining work to complete the pedestrian path through the Sleaford Road underpass. The construction team expects to be able to complete the permanent path by late summer of 2021. Now, for the Pearl Street question, a temporary pedestrian bridge or crossing between Elm Street Park and Pearl Street was not included in the original construction budget. At this time, the Purple Line is focusing on completing utility relocations and other ongoing community priority construction projects. MDOT-MTA estimates it would take a year to design a temporary pedestrian bridge and require additional engineering and construction resources not currently available. Next slide, please. And I'll pass back to Gary for additional questions. Thank you.
We will now open the meeting to CAT members and elected officials who are on the meeting as participants. Please turn on your camera and raise your hand if you have a question. Unmute your mic by clicking on the microphone icon or by pressing Control Alt M as in mute. Okay, seeing no one willing to turn on their cameras and raise their hands, we do have questions coming in from our attendees. We're joined tonight by Kristen Blackman from the Bethesda Urban Partnership, Alita Sharp, President of the Hamlet Place, Bonnie Rush, former mayor of the town of Chevy Chase, Isabel Stairs, who is representing Delegate Mark Corman, Amanda Farber of East Bethesda, Ralph Bennett, our friend from Purple Line Now, Andy O'Hare from the East Bethesda Citizens Association. Okay, and here's a question from Bonnie Rush. Who will choose the new general contractor? The remaining equity partners in PLTP or the MTA?
Gary, I'll take that question. We do not have the final details yet on how the settlement is going to move forward. And that's basically what we're doing is we have our legal teams working together right now, Barney, through the details that are going to go into the settlement agreement. We're planning and hoping to go to the Board of Public Works next week. And as soon as we can get the paperwork submitted to the Board of Public Works, the Board of Public Works will review it, approve it, and then release those details for public consumption.
Barney follows up, do you have a time frame for the choosing of the new general contractor?
We don't have one right now. I'm anticipating that there's going to be, God, I hate to use there's going to be parameters. There's going to be something presumably in the settlement agreement which will lay out the schedule that we're going to be moving forward with in order to bring the new design build contractor on board and to also understand what is the time frame that the state is going to be managing the construction.
Okay, Andy O'Hare from the East Bethesda Citizens Association asks, will completion of the Capitol Crescent Trail be delayed due to project cost overruns?
The Capitol Crescent Trail's construction is going to proceed according to basically the design schedule that the new design builder puts forward. There are no anticipated delays due to projected cost overruns that may occur in the future. So at this time, the Capitol Crescent Trail is fully in the design, it's fully part of the construction plans, and will be completed with the rest of the project.
Okay. Next, we have a question from Andy O'Hare, who asks about the dead trees along the Georgetown branch right-of-way. When will these be taken down, and what entity is responsible for this activity?
You know, that's a really good question. I don't have a specific answer for you right now, Andy. I would probably start by saying that I'm not aware of the dead trees that are being referenced. So I think it would actually be very helpful if people are aware that there are dead trees that are you know, subject to damage, that you reach out to us and either provide us with some sort of an area to go check it out or a picture or something like that, and we'll be happy to follow up. Certainly, if the death of the tree was caused by our construction, then we're going to step in and make sure we take care of it.
Okay, CAT member Jeff Sharp. He wants to know, what is the status of the reimbursements, if you know, from PLTC to claims that were made about property damage?
Well, I can't really speak about specifics. My understanding is that for damage that took place while PLTC was still on the project, that anybody who came forth with a claim for damage, that if it wasn't taken care of immediately by their construction team, it was moved over to an insurance adjuster through PLTC. And every time that happens, PLTC's insurance company should have reached back out to the constituent or business, assigning a claim number and then working directly with them on that. If there are specific items of damage that you believe have not gone through that process, then we'd ask that you reach out to us, through the outreach number, and we will look into it to see what has happened.
Joel Ryerson wants to know about Purple Line stations and how they will impact bus lines, especially around Connecticut Avenue and the Bethesda station.
Thank you, Joel. In general, the final setup of bus routing for the period when the light rail system is in revenue service has not been worked out, either by the state or presumably by either WMATA or Montgomery County as well. I can tell you that typically any bus service that was duplicative or, you know, following the exact same route as a new light rail service will be discontinued, and the bus lines will be set up to be more feeders into those light rail stations.
Barney Rush again. Will the noise walls behind the town of Chevy Chase be completed during this interim period?
That is a good question, Barney. I may take the opportunity to pass to one of the folks on the phone today, Kevin Oberheim, who knows what's going on a little bit more as far as the manufacturing process for those walls, and he may be able to give us an idea of whether we're looking at a near-term under MTA construction or a long-term further down the road construction effort.
Hi, this is Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if if I hit the right unmute button. So the noise wall panels are in manufacturing right now. We anticipate that the project will start receiving deliveries in early January. Our contractor has some panels already made, but they've been waiting until they had enough supply to be able to continue to work continuously to completion rather than stop and start several times. So we do anticipate this work starting in Q1 of 2021.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, that's it. That's it for attendees and questions. Do we have any more questions coming in? Anybody want to turn on their camera and raise their hand so I can acknowledge you? We do have Marcella Cordova from the county here with us this evening. If you'd like to say a few words, Marcella, please feel free.
Sure, thank you, Gary. Just letting everyone know that Montgomery County and MTA continue working together to progress the project. In the past couple of months, we have been concentrated on critical items for the county and our residents. The county's goal really is to maintain safe construction progress and minimize the impacts that the Purple Line project is generating for the community and for the private industry and our small businesses while we deliver this important project. We have highlighted some critical elements of the work within our county to MTA, and we have been working together to address them. These include the county project schedules and the progress of these important projects, which are the Bethesda South Metro entrance, the Capitol Crescent Trail, and the Green Trail. The overall work plan and project schedule for completion and service, the restoration of the county's public right-of-way to its original condition, and then the restoration of immediate connectivity associated with some of the critical elements of the project that might include but are not limited to items like Talbot Bridge, Elm Street, the Capitol Crescent Trail, Littonsville Bridge, and Colesville Road and Wayne Avenue. Some of this have already been addressed, and we continue to work on this so that impact is minimized. We really appreciate our partnership with MTA to complete the design and progress the project while MTA develops their new plan and schedule. We have seen a lot of progress, and we really appreciate and welcome Matt's, Vern's, and Gary's collaboration and leadership. And I'll be glad to answer any questions if anyone has any for me. Thank you.
All right, turn on your cameras and raise your hands if you want to be acknowledged, or continue to tap on your question mark and type in your question if you're an attendee. If you have issues that we have not addressed or you would like addressed, please send email to outreach@purplelinemd.com and we'll look into it. purplelinemd.com. You have at least a week after this meeting to send us questions related to this meeting. So we'll be looking out for your questions. Let's see if we got a new question in. Anonymous asks if we can confirm that access across the trail at Sleaford will be available in early spring 2021.
At this time, we cannot commit to having the Sleaford underpass and that trail completed by early spring. At this time, we're projecting that we are going to have it completed by late summer. There's still, it turns out there's some utility work that has to be done along that area. And we want to bring that to its final configuration so that once it's open, it will stay open permanently.
Ralph Bennett wants to know if we have detailed designs of the stops, or will those come later?
We have designs that have been completed for almost all of the stations at this point. There are still a few that are going through their final designs. I guess the question back, Barney, are you looking for the actual design, or are you looking more for station renderings? I believe we have station renderings for what all of the stations are going to look like in their final configuration already. And those may be on our website.
Yes.
I'd put that against us. Okay, thank you, Gary. Back to you, Gary.
Okay. Question from Andy O'Hare from the East Bethesda Citizens Association. What is the status of funding for the Purple Line Tunnel under Wisconsin Avenue? Marcella, can you address that one?
Is that referring to the connection to WMATA?
Yeah, I'm not sure what tunnel we're talking about here. Is it for the Capitol Crescent Trail? That's a separate project from the Purple Line.
It says Purple Line Tunnel under Wisconsin Avenue. Andy, can you clarify?
Think I'm just getting a note here. I think they are asking about the Capitol Crescent Trail Tunnel, and that is a separate project. Like I was saying, it's not a Purple Line project, but that's a county initiative. We are finishing design at this time, which is the piece that we got funding for at this point, and I believe council is putting that that project for funding in 2025, if I remember correctly, but I can confirm that if that's needed. Construction for this project is not funded at this time. I hope I answered the question.
Let's see if we have any new questions coming in. Again, if there are issues that you don't have addressed tonight, you can send us questions at outreach@purplelinemd.com. Any more questions? Raise your hands. Step right up. Turn on your cameras. Well, don't worry. If your question is not addressed tonight, all questions will be addressed later in a question and response posting on the website. This presentation also will be posted on the website. Similar questions will be combined, so you may not see your question posted verbatim. Additionally, we will accept questions related to this meeting for another week until December 15th. Send them to outreach@purplelinemd.com. outreach@purplelinemd.com. That concludes our presentation. Matt, any final words?
Well, thank you, Gary. I do want to thank everyone for calling in today. If there were, following up with what Gary said, if there were items that you just didn't feel it appropriate to ask the question at that time, you can always reach out to us directly or through the outreach number. We're happy to answer your questions and help clear up any confusion or misconceptions that might be out there. We still have a ways to go on this project, but we've got a good team in place. And with this settlement going before the board, hopefully next week, we're looking forward to a really smart and good path forward. So thank you all. I appreciate your time.